Y&R Spoilers Next week reveals that Victor, one of the most powerful and mysterious icons on The Young and the Restless, has now become a true monster in the eyes of many. His transformation from a powerful and strategic man to a ruthless man who will use any means necessary to protect his power has many people wondering, does Victor need to tone down his rage? Has he become so mean and scary that he is beyond saving? Victor's strained relationship with his family, coupled with his conflicting relationships in the business world he has built, has led to a situation that could bring everything crashing down in an instant. Despite his immense influence and undeniable respect among the upper class, Victor is not immune to enemies who want to bring him down. One of them is Billy Abbott, who wants to defeat Victor in his own way. Billy, never one to back down, sets out to make Victor face the fury he has never experienced. This involves not only work or family, but also threats from an anonymous figure, Dumas. This figure has evidence of Victor's past crimes, which, if exposed, will not only be a shock to Victor personally, but could destroy the empire he has worked so hard to build. When Dumas contacts Victor, he cannot help but feel a wave of panic spread through him. A warning call, and then threats to expose all of Victor's crimes. This makes Victor, who always considers himself the keeper of all secrets, begin to feel fear. Dumas is not only an anonymous threat, but also someone Victor has encountered in the past. The identity of Dumas will shock Victor, because this person is not a random person in his life, but a relationship with a dark history that Victor has tried to bury for many years. This completely disrupts Victor's psychology, and may lead to a strong shock, leaving him unable to react. What makes things even more dangerous is that Nikki, Victor's longtime wife, may discover the truth about a child Victor had before. If Nikki learns the secret, it will be a fatal blow to Victor, not only because of the betrayal in their relationship but also because of his long-term concealment. An old story can explode like a time bomb, not only making Victor face consequences from his family but also making him unable to save his career and personal life. And of course, while all this is going on, Phyllis Summers can't help but be curious. She's always been known for meddling in other people's affairs, and this time is no exception. Phyllis could face dire consequences if she continues to meddle in Billy and Victor's affairs. With the looming threats from Dumas and the troubles in the Newman family, Phyllis may not be able to escape the storms she inadvertently causes. However, one thing to note is that Victor Newman plays by his own rules. He's not one to be taken down easily, nor is he one to forgive his enemies easily. Over the years, Victor has built an empire through ruthlessness, calculation, and perfect control. His aggressive nature and intimidation tactics are nothing new. In fact, these are the factors that have helped Victor survive and stand firm in a competitive and dangerous world. So, can Victor continue to maintain his power when everything is falling apart around him? The answer will probably depend on how he faces new enemies, threats from the past, and the punishment he will have to bear from those around him. If he cannot overcome his rage and these challenges, will Victor end the great career he has built for so long? Victor Newman, one of the most iconic and complex characters on The Young and the Restless, is slowly becoming a shadow of himself. Victor used to be the one who had everything under control, from Newman Enterprises to his family. However, the changes in the way he deals with situations have recently created a completely different version of himself. Victor is no longer balanced, no longer the calculating man he is, but instead a storm of rage and menace. But this change in Victor affects not only his life but also those around him. And while everyone is struggling to cope with these upheavals, Phyllis becomes one of the direct victims of these actions. Phyllis Summers, one of the characters who never lacks curiosity and is always ready to get entangled in hidden stories, is constantly investigating the shady actions of Billy Abbott. Phyllis's decision to follow Billy may be a serious misstep in a dangerous game whose consequences she doesn't foresee. While she thinks she's just looking for the truth, a mysterious figure, Dumas, has his own dark plans for Phyllis. The price of intruding on Billy's life may be her own survival, as Dumas, who may be a dangerous man with a secret past, will not hesitate to kidnap Phyllis to ensure that she doesn't get in the way of his plans. The real problem here is that Victor of whom Phyllis is just a part of the bigger picture he's building, is no longer the man he once was. Victor's gentleness and control have all but disappeared. His anger, previously contained and only unleashed when necessary, is now unrecognizable as the man who once made all the decisions. Victor has become a ferocious monster, only knowing anger and threats to those who displease him. He is no longer the man who used to solve problems rationally, but instead lives in a world of hatred and intimidation. This is especially evident when we look at the relationship between Victor and the members of the Newman family. The feud between Newman and Abbott has long been an integral part of the show, but the way Victor has treated Jack Abbott recently seems to have crossed the line. Victor's disdain for Kyle Abbott is also not pleasant, and the constant bickering between the two raises the question, has Victor gone too far in dealing with the Abbott family? Or is it all part of a strategy to protect the empire he has built over the years? Additionally, Billy Abbott, Adam Newman, and even Michael Baldwin have all been victims of Victor's recent threats. These men each play an important role in Victor's life and career, but his resentment seems to know no bounds. While Billy is still struggling with his conflicts with the Newman family, Adam is also facing the incomprehensible schemes that Victor seems to be imposing on him, and Michael is struggling with direct threats from the man he once considered a spiritual father. Certainly, no one asked Victor to be a cute teddy bear, but it would be nice if he could act like a normal person, instead of a raging monster. Victor's rages not only hurt those around him, but also cause him to suffer unforeseen consequences. Victor's lack of restraint causes him to lose many precious things that he has built up over time. Loved ones, old friends, and even business partners gradually shun him. Is Victor destroying himself with his uncontrollable rage? Perhaps it is time for Victor to calm down and find his bearings. He needs to realize that threats and control are not always the answer. Aggression and violence cannot win respect or love from those around him. Victor's relationships with his loved ones, from Nikki to his children, are being severely affected by his actions. And as Phyllis continues to interfere in Billy's life, she not only has to face the consequences from Victor, but also from Dumas, who may have a plan to teach her a lesson she will never forget. Phyllis, no matter how talented she is, cannot play such a dangerous game alone. Her curiosity may be what sends her into a spiral from which she cannot escape, a situation that no one could have imagined. Victor's outbursts not only make him terrifying, but also leave those around him facing unimaginable consequences. Will Victor realize that his loss of control is destroying everything he has ever built? Or will he continue to let his rage control him, and in the process, lose everything that matters most? Victor Newman, a prominent character on The Young and the Restless, has always been a paragon of power, decisiveness, and sharp strategy. However, his recent behavior has led people to question his true nature. Has Victor become too much of a monster, or is it just a manifestation of a man being pushed to the limit? Are Victor's daily outbursts, his loss of control in stressful situations, a sign of an irreversible transformation, or just a temporary phase in his long journey? Victor has always been known as a man who can make tough decisions, who does not hesitate to do things that many others would not, especially when it comes to protecting his family and his empire. However, when this anger and decisiveness gradually become an integral part of Victor's behavior, things get out of hand. We cannot help but notice that his outbursts are becoming more frequent and intense, leading to unpredictable consequences. While Victor's fierceness previously helped him achieve great victories, it now seems to be causing him to face difficult situations, not only at work but also in his personal relationships. The price Victor pays for these outbursts is becoming increasingly clear. While he still maintains power and influence in the business world, his family begins to feel alienated from the person Victor has become. His relationship with Nikki, his confrontations with his children, and even his interactions with friends, partners, and enemies are all affected by his lack of control. His threats, rash decisions, and impulsive actions are compromising the values that Victor once held above all: family, friendship, and respect. Perhaps it is time for Victor to take a look at himself and consider controlling his anger. Certainly, fans still love Victor's moments of decisiveness and power, when he unleashes his rage to fight for what he believes in. But is it time for these moments to be used more appropriately, with more moderation, to not only help Victor protect his family and career but also to retain the respect of those around him? Victor's aggressiveness, if used in moderation, could be more effective. He is still a powerful and strategic person, but perhaps showing calmness and reason would help Victor maintain the respect of his family, friends, and partners. Courage and determination are indispensable in Victor's nature, but when it turns into loss of control and constant confrontation, it becomes a threat not only to those around him but also to himself. However, we cannot deny that this change would bring a lot of interesting elements to the story. A Victor who reveals more layers of his personality, from his softness and thoughtfulness to his moments of self-questioning, would add new depth to the character. Would allowing Victor to find his psychological balance give him a chance to develop as a character, to highlight a different part of himself, rather than just an uncontrolled rage? So the question is, should Y&R hold Victor back a little and show us more layers of his personality? Could we see a Victor who is not only a strategic, fierce man, but also someone who can face himself, learn to restrain and balance between work and emotions? Perhaps, in a world full of dangers, a calm and rational Victor will be the ultimate winner, not only in business battles but also in his personal life. Victor, in his rare moments when he is not consumed by rage, is still a charming man. His intelligence, problem-solving skills, and determination are what make him a fan favorite. However, if he lives in the shadow of anger and rash decisions, Victor will not be able to maintain the support of his loved ones, and may even pay the price himself. Victor's story is still being written, and whether he can find calm and reason in the midst of his angry outbursts, or will he continue to live in a world filled with tension and controversy, is a question that fans of The Young and the Restless are eagerly waiting to find out. Phyllis Summers, one of the most prominent and cunning characters on The Young and the Restless, is no stranger to getting herself into dangerous situations, especially when she decides to take matters into her own hands by investigating the dark secrets of those around her. However, this time, she makes a serious mistake when she decides to follow Dumas, the imposter lurking in the shadows. Dumas is no ordinary character, and Phyllis, despite always thinking of herself as smart and sharp, has unwittingly become entangled in a dangerous game that she cannot control. As usual, Phyllis knows how to gather information and is not afraid to go into areas where others dare not go. She has repeatedly succeeded in unraveling secrets and revealing dark plots of powerful figures in the world of Genoa City. However, this time, she has no idea how dangerous the situation she is facing is. When Phyllis discovers that Dumas, a man with dark plans and a hidden agenda, is actually deeply connected to Victor, she cannot help but follow him. Dumas seems to have a grip on everything around him, and Phyllis, curious and eager to expose the truth, decides to take the risk. However, it doesn't take long for her to realize that she has encountered a real monster. Dumas, far from being an innocent, is a dangerous imposter who is willing to play tricks to protect his secrets. Phyllis not only faces Dumas, but also another danger, Tucker McCall. Tucker, who is always pursuing the goal of regaining power and controlling large assets, learns the truth about Phyllis and her connection to Victor. When Tucker realizes that Phyllis is following Dumas and may possess important information, he does not hesitate to approach her. Like Victor, Tucker is not one to ignore threats to his plans. Phyllis, once again, is a pawn in the hands of powerful and calculating people. As Phyllis continues to swim in the quagmire of her own making, a big question arises: if Phyllis goes missing, who will be the one to uncover the truth about the conspiracies surrounding her? Phyllis's daughter, Summer, has repeatedly warned her mother about the dangers she is putting herself in. However, Phyllis, with her stubborn and egotistical personality, does not listen to those warnings. She believes that she can control any situation, that her cunning and intelligence will get her out of any trouble. But this time, things may not be so simple. When Summer realizes that her mother is caught in the vortex that Victor and Tucker are creating, she decides to intervene. But what can Summer do when Phyllis is already too deep into this dangerous game? Can she stop Phyllis before it's too late, or will she have to witness her mother's disappearance, as Phyllis disappears once again into the darkness of intrigue and power struggles? The story of Phyllis, Dumas, Tucker, and Victor is becoming more and more tense. Every step Phyllis takes seems to put her in more danger. The secrets she uncovers could be the key to foiling Tucker and Victor's schemes, but will she have enough time to act before everything falls apart? Tucker may be the only one who understands Phyllis, and he won't let her easily uncover the plans he's been working so hard to carry out. If Phyllis goes missing, not only her family but Genoa City will fall into a major crisis. Relationships, power structures will be broken, and no one knows what will happen next. People will think that Phyllis may just be trying to escape a life full of lies and cruelty, but the truth may come as a huge shock to everyone. Phyllis's actions, whether decisive or stubborn, are leading to a point of no return. She will have to face the consequences of her curiosity and the wrong decisions she has made. But more importantly, can Phyllis escape the trap she has set for herself, or will she become prey in the game of the powerful? And if she goes missing, will the truth be buried forever, or will someone step forward to shed light on those dark secrets? Phyllis's future depends not only on her decisions, but also on how those around her react to the truth she has discovered. As the spiral of power and revenge swirls, can Phyllis find a way to free herself and save what's left, or will she become part of Genoa City's never-ending power struggle?